Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today we're talking more Gundam Card Game, and this is the full deck list for Iron Bloom. This is the upcoming IBO themed deck, and we have all of the cards we know. Now some of them we haven't gotten like a full card breakdown of, but this gives us enough detail to where I think we can kind of start to surmise some stuff. So starting off first with some of the cards we have seen. We've got the Gundam Barbatos 4th form, the big boss of the deck. We have 2 of those. 4 of the Gundam Barbatos 2nd form, 4 of the CGS Mobile Worker, and 4 of the Gray's Customs here. Now, 3 of these 4 we've seen. We haven't, I don't think, seen the Gray's Custom. I could be wrong on that. We may have seen this as an individual card release, information-wise, but these first 3 we for sure have. So for this, of course, damage situation, so you choose one other unit, deal 1 damage to it, it gets +1 AP this turn. While this unit is damaged, it gets suppression, so any damage to the shields by an attack from this unit is dealt to the first 2 cards simultaneously. So, kind of like the Gundam X here, seems like purple's going to have some suppression consistency. Kind of like green and breach to a degree. But we've seen this one. This is the big boss. We also have the 2nd form here. Very similar situation. While this unit is damaged, he has +2 AP, so you're trying to ping your own units, get them a little bit more power, and then they can swing into things, which just makes this a 4-4, or kind of at least a 4-3, because you're going to have to deal at least 1 damage to it. And then we have the CGS Mobile Worker here. When you rest this unit, choose one of your own units once again. Deal 1 damage to it. It gets +1 AP turn. This turn. So with this, you can combine it with this, do 1 damage to it, get another AP. So now it's 3 + 2. So this is a 5-3 technically. Or same situation here. 1 damage to it for 4, gets +1 AP there, and then it gets suppression. Pretty cool the way things chain together. Now the Gray's Custom doesn't look to have any effect here. It is a level 2, 1 cost, so this is coming out in the early game if you get lucky and pull it right. It is a 2-2, so this is kind of like your GM for when your war decks. The Jin, I think, is actually a level 2-2. For the Zaft, a lot of intrigue grunts, kind of in the same ballpark there. Moving down to the next row here, we have the Guxion Rebake. We have not seen this. We've actually seen the LR for this, though, which is pretty crazy. But it is coming in GDO2, so I think that for now, maybe there's a different version of this coming out, which would make sense, a little more powerful. But we do have this. We have the thing the turbines use, who cannot ever remember this name because I just didn't care for these. Then we have McGillis's Schwab Grays, and then a Gray's Commander type. Once again, we have seen 3 of the 4 of these in individual card releases. We have the Hykurin, kind of your Rizal-esque type here. Level 3, 2 cost, 4-3. Pretty good setup. This is actually, I think, exactly like the Rizal. So, people running purple decks probably going to use this a lot. No effect or anything like that. No link, and it's just Taiwei's faction. Actually, now that I think about it, when we go back to look at pilots, all those pilots are going to have to come from GDO2, because I don't think we have any of those pilots in this setup. We did get McGillis' Schwab. This is kind of the other boss, quote-unquote, or at least the LR for this deck. The really fancy one. It gets blocker, which is pretty cool. It is a 4-2, though, so when we look at McGillis, he's going to really have to up this, or this is kind of like a one-shot thing. This might as well be your tall goose token, just with blocker. So, probably not going to stick around long unless you get some healing in there, or something to reduce AP. But you get to choose one enemy unit that is level 3 or lower when this is paired, and it gets -2 AP this turn. So, this is kind of like if you play certain cards, like with Wu Fei and the Shinlong. If it's under a certain amount of AP, they don't take damage. Kind of same deal here in a way, or I think Unforeseen Consequences maybe. One of the Academy white cards also has a similar function to this. So you could potentially get out of this without having too much in the way of damage for McGillis here. And then we have the Gray's Commander here. It is blocker as well. It does have the Gallarhorn trait, which is really interesting. We don't have a lot of those pilots, but it would be interesting to see what comes out in GDO2. But also 2. So definitely trying to reduce AP to keep some of these cards on the field. Now this is not a bad blocker by any means. Like, this is your Zowart basically. I think maybe a level higher than the Zowart if I'm right, but still not bad. It's just this is going to soak up 1 hit, right? Now, kind of going back here, the one we didn't see was the Gushion Rebake. It does have an effect, but it's a level 4, 3 cost, 3/4, Tekkaden, and Gundam Frame. I know it's super blurry, and I'm kind of guessing on that, but just kind of those match lengthwise. And then Akihiro is the link here. Pretty cool. It looks like there's something to do with AP or HP right here, and then rest. So we'll see kind of what that looks like. Now, as we kind of get down the list here, we'll notice we only have 1 pilot for Gallarhorn. So we're definitely going to have to see some more in GDO2. Because the only other pilots we really see here are Mika and Akihiro. So we've seen the Grays, which is kind of, once again, your standard grunt. Nothing going on here in terms of effect. But level 2, 1 cost, 2/2, no link, just Gallarhorn. Once again, kind of like the Grays custom, it is just going to kind of be there in your early game. Now we do get Mika here, and we do get to see this version of Mika and this version of Akihiro, I assume. And I don't think we've seen Akihiro yet, but I imagine their trait line's kind of the same. Tekkaden and the little procedure thing that I can't remember the name of, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Not otherwise. So we're going to get some Turbines pilots at some point, whether it's GDO2 or maybe like upcoming releases, but that's crazy. So like, you get, I mean, it's not like the Hakurin or whatever has a link to those pilots, but still, it's kind of interesting to see it on the card. I not see anything here. But 2/1 here, pretty solid. To choose one of your units and 1 enemy unit, deal 1 damage to each of them, which is pretty cool. Then we get McGillis, and I think this is like, they chose like one of the worst characters to give one of the hardest card arts to, and it is a little upsetting. Like, this card art just goes so hard, it's so cool. But 2/1, same situation. If you have 2 or more other Gallarhorn/Tekkaden units in play, choose 1 enemy unit with 3 or less HP and rest it. Pretty cool, right? Now, that brings us into our command cards and our base, which we'll have to pop back out and look at in a second. But with Iron and Blood, choose one of your own units, deal 1 damage to it. It gets +3 AP this turn, I believe is what that says. April kind of cuts it off. It's, I imagined 3, I doubt that says 5. That's got to be like 2 or 3, because level 2, 1 cost. And then we have Fatal Strike. Choose one enemy unit that is level 3 or lower and destroy it. This is going to be pretty similar. I imagine people are going to run this much like they've run like Battle of Aces and stuff, where most of your level 3 and lower stuff is going to have like 3 or less HP. As long as you've damaged a little bit, you can kind of get it off of the board. Same thing with Close Combat, if I remember, from the Neo Zeon deck. Now, we haven't seen Akihiro, at least to my knowledge, as like an individual card release here. At least detail-wise. All of these obviously are coming in the deck. They're not like getting released individually, just as an actual, just, hey, this is a card, look at it. But it is 1/1. He has a very long, well-linked thing here. Very interesting. We do have the Ishiribi, which is a pretty standard-looking base. I know people have like found this like full card detail in the teaching app. So like you can download the Gundam Card Game teaching app, and this card is showing up. It's pretty cool. You get 4 of those. It does have an effect. I'm not entirely sure what that effect is because I can't read it from here. But like I said, people have been finding this in the card trading game app. And then we have Unforeseen Incident, which is really cool that, like, I mean, it's not necessary, I suppose. It's just kind of neat that it's the exact same card with just different art. I would not mind if they did that for some of these other command cards. I really don't know what that would be. But as we start getting into some of the other series, it'd be kind of neat to see this happen again. The one that comes to the top of my mind is like if we could get any of like the good green command cards for Gundam Age, that would be sick, but Gundam Age isn't getting its own deck, so I doubt that. We're probably just going to get units and pilots. But still, this is really cool. I'm really excited to see this deck come out. I'm sure it will absolutely destroy me, but it is really cool to like have, I mean, most of it is going to be tied together with that like ping damage you're doing to yourself to get more AP, but you do have a little variety in there with some of the Gallarhorn stuff. It's just really light on the Gallarhorn stuff. I'm trying to think of the previous ones, and I think the other decks have been a little bit more balanced. Heroic Beginnings maybe have been a little bit more like One Year War Federation heavy, like Y-base heavy. Wings of Advance was relatively balanced. I mean, it wasn't a ton of Oz stuff, but you did get a lot more than this. You got 4 Leos, 3 Ares, 3 Kragos. The third one, Zeon Rush, pretty balanced if I remember correctly as well. And then the Siege Strike one as well. So pretty cool, very interesting. Let me know if you're excited for this in the comments down below. I know we've already seen some stuff for GDO2 releases that are going to tie into this, so that'll be cool. We're going to see some alt art stuff for that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, is this a deck you're intending to run? Do you want to take parts out of it? Do you want to switch different things in? Let me know. And as always, I've been the Spicer here for the Gunpla Network. Keep on building and keep on collecting.